with Beard! Hey podcast kittens, it's Cathy Cat
and Ladybeard come at you with another awe-inspiring edition of Cat with Beard. We have the specialist of special guests.
We have a super special guest in the studio today. I'm so nervous, my hands are sweaty.
I am too. I didn't realize we had this guest until half an hour ago. I'm actually really nervous. Cat with Beard にいらっしゃいませ。
よろしくお願いします。
よろしくお願いします。
ちょっと皆さんに自己紹介ください。
Hi guys. My name is Katsuhiro Harada, game producer and executive game director of Bandai Namco. I'm Tekken series chief producer too. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've got the producer of Tekken on the show.
This is
out of control. So going
Okay, just as a little heads up to everyone listening to this program, it's going to be in Japanese and in English, so it's also going to be actually really good for you if you're trying to learn Japanese. First, listen to what we hear, and then I'm going to try and translate it. So keep your ears tuned. Let's do this.
Here we go. Let's do this thing. So, thank you so much for coming today. Bandai Namco, Tekken. This is amazing. This is
yes.
Please. So, famous game producer, arguably the most famous game producer. Game producers do not get more famous than you. I'm not starting this interview very well because I'm freaking out a little bit. This is incredible.
For example, Tekken has like a Guinness Book of World Records entry for like the game that's the 3D fighting game, longest running 3D fighting game series for 21 years. And I think 179 days, maybe depending on when you guys are listening to it, it's going to be longer than that. So that's a really, really impressive history.
Incredibly impressive. Can you tell us about how you became a game producer?
そうですね。プロデューサーにはちょっと2種類あるんですね。はい。
There are two different types of producers.
一つはゲームいわゆる本当に開発企画だったり、絵を描く人もいるし、そういうゲームデザイナーからプロデューサーになる人で、もう一つは開発経験なしでゲームプロデューサーになる人、この2種類がいます。
So there are two different types of game producers. Some of them really want hands-on, who can actually work on developing, who draw the design and the artwork and similar things like that. And then there's a different type. So we call those more game designers. Well, there's another type which we don't have to do that necessarily.
で僕はいわゆるゲーム開発を経験した上で、勝手にだんだんこう下から持ち上げられて偉くなっちゃってプロデューサーになったタイプですね。
So he actually worked on developing games and releasing games, making games, and then slowly but surely rose up in the world of gaming.
This is remarkable, Harada-san.
Can we turn the air conditioning up in here? We're both so nervous.
I really am. Really,
this is
we're sitting
this is
with
a living
royalty.
Legend with us here.
It's really remarkable. Can you tell us about how you got into game production, working in Bandai Namco and games in general?
ゲームに興味持ったきっかけは、僕らの世代ってゲームちょっとでもやると PTA に非常に捕まる時代だったんですよ。先生とか PTA に。
そうなんですか。So in his times when he started playing games, very quickly the parents teacher association would kind of catch you out for playing games. なんでですか？ Why?
多分その頃日本に2人ともいらっしゃらなかったでしょうけど、日本はインベーダーゲームブームっていうのがありまして、台東が作ったインベーダーってある、スペースインベーダー。
Space Invaders was like a big thing.
Super popular.
Yeah, in the
あれが
times.
す
There
ご
was
い
a boom
大
in
ブ
Japan.
ームになった時があって、あの時に非常に反社会的な人とか悪い人たちがビジネスに非常に関わってた時代があったので、
So a lot of bad people actually got involved in that business when it was a boom.
With the days of Space Invaders and the Invader games.
Apparently, yeah. So
I bet this would have been back in the 80s or something like that?
1980年。
いや70年代ですね。
70年代
So in the 70s.
You've done a great job with your skin. Good job.
でその時にあまりにもその悪い人たちが多いところに子供を近づけちゃいけないってことで、全国の小学校でそのゲームセンターに行ってはいけません。行ったらその PTA かもしくは先生たちが見回りをして すぐに捕まえてくるっていう。
Oh, so it was like the thought that if so many bad people are involved in Space Invaders, you shouldn't let children who are still quite young go to the game centers to play Space Invaders. Because if you think about it, those were the times when you didn't have a console at home, right?
Of course.
So
you had to go to the arcade.
the teacher or the parents were actually going around game centers and pulling kids out if they were playing Space Invaders.
But you were a kid who wanted to play the games. You were not dealing with the shady characters behind the scenes. Is that correct?
毎日捕まっては次の日の学校で全員の前、全校生徒の前でゲームセンターに来ましたすいませんって言わされるです。本当ですこれは。結構私だけじゃなくて全国でそういうことが普通に起きてました。
So every day he got caught out by the teachers or the parents, they would then bring him in front of the class and he had to officially apologize. I went to a game center, I officially apologized in front of everyone several times.
It's like some Soviet Union kind of. Wow.
He wasn't the only example. He also said a lot of other kids had to do that too.
So, but you were hanging out with a group of kids and all of you would go and play the games? Or would you have to sneak off alone to try and...
一人ですか？友達と一緒だったんですか？
スニークしていくか、まあ友達といっぱいでいると逆にバレやすいので、一人か二人っていうかでこうまさにスニークしていくっていうことが多かったですけど。
So most of the time he was by himself because the more people you are, the more likely it's to stand out if a group of kids does it. So generally it would be just him or maybe him and one friend who tried to sneak into the game
だから
centers.
それで抑圧されるものダメって言われてたので余計に興味が湧いて、大人になったらゲームやっても怒られない世界に行きたいって思ったのがきっかけですね。
Oh, because of all that pressure of like you're not allowed to do this, he wanted to do it even more, and that became one of his goals in the future, to create a future where you can play games without getting constantly told off that you're not allowed to play games.
The PTA made a grave mistake.
That's right, that's right.
That is amazing. So, you were a kid, loved playing games, the parents of the PTAs put you through a struggle session every time you did, so you couldn't. And so you grew up, you said, I'm going to make games, and I'm going to make a world where the children can play games without the horrors of this kind of enforcement. Wow. That is
Personally,
remarkable.
I'm very curious now. When did that negative image shift in Japan?
それが変わったのは、80年代後半ぐらいから、ゲームセンターが非常に明るくなったんですね。照明も明るくなりましたし、あとプリクラ覚えてます？写真撮るやつ。あれで女子高生とか若い女の人たちが入るようになってからイメージがちょっと変わり始めた。
Oh, so in the end of the 80s, everything changed when the game centers themselves became brighter. They installed more lights, and another very important thing came to the game centers, and it was the purikura, the print club machines, which are like photo booths for girls where you can have like stickers and you decorate them. And it brought young girls into the game centers, and it changed the image of the game centers in Japan.
これはだからゲームセンターに限らず皆さん重要なのは世の中のこの女性が行けるようになった場所っていうのはイメージが良くなるわけですよ。
It's not just for game centers, but for many things in the world.
Oh, really?
If it's a place where women feel
I see,
comfortable to
sure.
go to, it becomes a better place.
There were no women in the video game arcades in Australia. Not one. It's teenage boys, and that was it. Okay, cool. So you exit this childhood of game-related trauma, and then what's the next step? You went to university to study games?
No. 僕はゲームは学びたかったんですけどね。本当は芸術系の大学に行きたかったんですけど、私の親はゲームも漫画も全部禁止してましたから、その絵を描いて食っていけるわけがないし、ゲームなんかで食っていけるわけがないので、普通の大学に行きなさいってすごい言われて、学費出してくれるのは親ですから、まあそれで普通の大学というか、その早稲田ではねゲームのことを教えてもらえないので、はい、普通に心理学を勉強してました。
Psychology.
Psychology.
All right, so he said his parents were actually quite strict when he was young, and they said, and I feel very connected to that because my dad was the same, who said arts, manga, games, all of that, you can't make a living in that. So therefore you should study something that is more fundamental. You can't make a living with all these arts things, and so he went to a normal university and studied psychology instead.
Studied psychology. Okay. So you make it to the end of psychology, and then what happens?
で就職するときにどうしてもゲーム業界に行くって言ったらやっぱり親が泣いて反対されましたよ。
Wow, okay, when he graduated, he wanted to go into the gaming industry, and his parents were so much against it that they even cried and were absolutely resisting of him to actually join the gaming industry.
まあ、ただもう僕の一生決めることなんでここだけは譲れないってことで、もう一番最初に泣いていわゆるその一番最初に合格を出してくれたゲーム会社に僕は行くんだってこう宣言をして、でたまたま本当は僕セガに行きたかったんですけどナムコが一番にくれたので、なのでナムコに行きました。
Alright, he said that's the thing that his love and passion was there for, though, and he had decided the first gaming company that will accept me, I will go to, even when my parents are saying no. And he actually also was thinking of Sega, but in the end, Bandai Namco was number one who came back first, and so he
そうです
started
ね、
working
当時
at
だか
Bandai
ら
Namco.
バンダイナムコじゃなくてナムコでしたね。
At the time it was
Yeah.
Namco. They weren't called Bandai Namco just yet.
So you've been in Namco / Bandai Namco for your entire post-university career then?
最初はゲーム開発者で普通の大学から出てるんでなかなか行けないっていうのが僕の中であったので、
So first he thought that just coming from university without having studied it, he wasn't quite sure whether he could go down this path to become a game developer. Is that correct?
だからいわゆる営業ですよね、営業で、ちょっと入社させてほしいってことで営業入社しました。だから最初は営業に配属されましたね。
So ego can be like anything like sales or similar thing where you're trying to promote the game and such. So that was actually his starting point where he went to into more the business side of
ただちょっ
games.
とナムコの営業って変わってて、そのいわゆるセールスというよりかはゲームセンターの店員なんです。 だからでもっと変わってるのは実は僕も知らなかったんですよ当時は。入社するとプログラマーだろうがアートデザイナーだろうがゲームデザイナーだろうが全員最初ゲームセンター配属なんですよナムコと今はそうじゃないですけど昔のナムコは全員実は最初はゲームセンター配属なんです。
Oh, okay. There's an interesting bit of news that we just heard about, and that is if you actually go and you work at Namco, your starting point is to actually work in one of their game centers, which means you will probably, and it doesn't really matter if you're even a programmer, if you're an artist, if you are a developer or such, everyone actually starts simple as that in the game center.
Well, so you're essentially in retail, I suppose, to begin with. You're manning the fort at the arcade.
I mean, that was probably the starting point of gaming, right? That's where everything came
From
from
where
in those
everything came,
days.
yeah,
So it's
I
actually
see.
more, in a way, it makes kind of sense, I think. It's a very important thing. This is where the game meets the customer, and you get to
そう
see where the game meets
そ
the
の通りです
customer.
もうとにかくカスタマーと直接会うことが重要だってことでそういうシステムになってたんですね。
And in that generation, what were the games that were in the arcades when you were in the arcade?
まだネオジオのサムライスピリッツ
Oh, Neo Geo Samurai
Samurai Showdown
Spirit.
ですね。
Samurai
Showdown.
サムライショーダウンの一番最初のやつとか
The first Samurai Showdown.
Wicked.
あれとかセガでいうとバーチャルレーシングって覚えてます
Virtual racing.
Oh,
Avoid
Virtual
it.
Racing from
I
Sega.
remember that, yes.
とかが出始めてた頃
So
です
just the start of all of these things.
Wow, these are some of the first games that I ever played. This is remarkable that we're going.
そうあの頃アーケードがまだまだねすごいいい時期でしたからね。
So that was a really good time for arcades at the time as well.
That was, yeah.
どれぐらいもう本当にアーケードにいたんですか？
あそれがですね
How long were
僕
you there?
最初の3ヶ月でそのお店の売上記録を3ヶ月間こう過去のそのお店ができて以来の売上記録を3ヶ月更新し続けたんですよ。僕がイベントをやっ 大会をやったんで、そのおかげでいきなり僕3ヶ月でもう社長賞っていう会社の社長から表彰してもらえたんです、ね。
So, for 3 months, you were there for 3 months,
Yes.
and you kind of boosted the sales so much by doing events and such that after 3 months you actually got a certificate that you got promoted to like head.
でその時社長から何か言いたいことあるって言われて、いや僕はお客さんの気持ちが分かる人間なのでゲームが作りたいですって言ってもうすぐに開発に行かせてもらったんですよ。
So, wow. So he got that certificate that he's done amazingly well.
Yeah.
So one of the big bosses asked, do you have a wish? And he said, hey, I want to actually work on making games. So after 3 months, that's where he got.
And did you feel that through that process, sales and so forth, was your psychology training useful? I mean, say you understood the feelings of the customers.
サイコロジーが役立ったのは実は営業時代はあんま役立たなかったですね。むしろゲームを作るようになってから役立った。
So psychology wasn't really useful in the means of maybe sales, but it actually became really helpful later on when making games.
Right, so talk to us about that. So what was the first game that you worked on in terms of development?
Tekken ですね。
I was from Tekken.
Right from the start. Oh my god. Wow.
So Tekken number 1, yeah?
そこからですね。
Were you there for the very first Tekken titles?
まさにでも入った時はいろいろ動いていて、ソウルエッジって覚えてます？
Soul Edge. So there were a lot of things happening, such as Soul Edge.
とか鉄拳とかあとそういくつかあったんですけど、そういう専属というだけじゃなくていろんなことやらなきゃいけなかったので、いろんなプロジェクトとかタイトルをまだ若いですからデバッグとか、あとここの一つのこの仕様書、このモードの一個だけ書いてくれって言われて書いたりとか、あの頃はもう何でもしなきゃいけないです。急に Mac でドット絵を描いてこういうアイコンを作ってくれって言われて作ったりとか。
Right. So he said he couldn't at that time. He couldn't focus on just one gaming title because he was young. He was actually allocated to several gaming titles and did everything from debugging, working on documents, but also like maybe drawing like an icon. So whatever was needed to be done, he was there to get it done.
だから今みたいに綺麗なチームで分かれているというよりは、そのゲームデザイナーのプランナーのチームはいろんなタイトルとか先輩後輩が入り混じってみんなでこういろいろ協力しながら作ってるって感じでしたね。
So in those days it wasn't so decided of like this is one team for one game. It was more like everyone was working together, working in teamwork to get a lot of titles worked at.
I see. But were you actually doing the program, the sitting down on the computer doing the clickety clack, or did you have kind of minions who did that for you and you were kind of more doing the creative work?
プログラムではなく僕が一番最初に担当したのは、いわゆる今で言うとゲームデザイナーになるんですけど、ゲームスクリプトっていうのがあるんですね。スクリプトっていうのはプログラムでそのものではないんですけど、いわゆる格闘ゲームのこの数字、この技のフレーム数とか、技のダメージの強さとか、そういうのをこうスクリプトで入力していくっていう仕事ですね。それが一番最初のそのスクリプト自体を作ったり、もしくはスクリプトを打ち込む仕事ですね。
So he was working more on the game script, where like writing and developing the game script, and it can be anything of how many frames do we need for one punch, how strong would the punch have to be. So all the nitty gritty details that are important to create a game script.
This is remarkable. So I have to ask, because I'm a martial artist and I have been for many years. So me and my martial arts friends, after we finished training Taekwondo or whatever, we would go to the arcade and we would play Tekken. So did you work with, in order to get the characters and their fighting styles and so forth organized, did you work with a team of martial artists, or was there someone on your team who's a martial artist and could take you through all the styles?
それ両方あって、例えば、やっぱり我々でファイティングゲームを作るスタッフは マーシャルアーツに興味がある人間が多い、もしくは経験者が多いので、
So if you want to make a fighting game, there's a lot of people in there who love fighting or fighting games or martial arts as such, or even have done it before.
私自身も空手やテコンドー、柔道
Oh, so
やって
he's
ました
also
し、
been doing karate, kondo, and judo. So he has experience in martial
あ
arts
と
himself.
はやっぱりチーム内にこうボクシングやその少林寺拳法、あとは結構体操選手としてこういろんな動きができる人とか、そういうのがたくさんいましたね。
So even in the team, there were people who could do boxing, other types of martial arts. So there's like a big mixture of people having a lot of skills in that team.
ただ、やっぱりプロの人をこう雇っていろいろ教えてもらった方がいいので、一生懸命当時はあんまりインターネットでこう検索って難しい時代だったんですけど、いろんなジムとかいろんな道場に直接行ってちょっと教えてもらえませんか、もしくはゲームのために協力してもらえませんかっていう形でプロに協力してもらってます。
So, of course, though, you want to get taught the skills from a professional. And at the times, there wasn't the internet, so you can't just type things easily and find stuff. So they would actually go to different dojos. You know the term dojo, of course. You guys probably know it already, like training centers for martial arts people. And then there, they would go and, please, teach us your skills. Or actually, we're working on the game. Can you help us and cooperate with us? So they actually went out there.
And at what point in the series did motion capture and things like that start to get used in the development of the movements and so forth?
モーションキャプチャーは、これも説明難しいな。最初はですね、実はその今みたいなこうセンサー簡単なのつけて動き回れるものではなくて、磁気式って言ってこうケーブルだらけだったんです。これ
So yeah, the motion capture in the old days wasn't what it is now. So it was like cables absolutely everywhere.
だから実はプロが動いても素人が動いてもあんまり変わらない、いわゆる動きにくいので。
It is so hard to move in that it almost doesn't matter whether it's an amateur or a professional because you can't really move with these cables.
だから意外と最初の頃は僕も含めてゲーム開発者が動いてる動きが半分ぐらいありましたね。
Also, at the beginnings, actually, about half of all the movement that got captured were actually from the staff themselves, and he might have been in there as well.
Really?
はい
How
で
remarkable.
ものすごく今みたいなかっこいい動きがちゃんと撮影できるようになった、いわゆる光学オプティカル光学式ってやつですね。でできるようになったのがTekken 3からですね。
So the movements, the great movements that we can see now and such, that started from Tekken 3.
いわゆるカポエラ
Yes.
とかあとテコンドーの動きって、あれは全部
Capoeira, Taekwondo, and such.
あれは新しい当時の最新の技術であるいわゆる光学式っていうので撮影できるようになった時の作品ですね。
So that was from like that time onwards when you can actually use the big optical
オプティカル、いや
kind
see.
of ways to capture it better.
As a fan of the Tekken series, there's an obvious jump in the technology between the original Tekkens. Once you get to Tekken 3, there was a big jump.
Yes.
And things like Eddie Gordo with his capoeira and so
Yeah.
forth, and Huarang and so forth with the taekwondo, the movements, and Xiaoyu?
Xiaoyu.
Yeah. So all of their movements, which are all from traditional martial arts and are all very stylized, you guys did an amazing job of accurately depicting all of those movements in the game. And that was the first time I think we had really seen that level of accuracy from the traditional martial arts represented in the game. And that was very amazing to me as a young man. It was incredible. When you guys were going through that process, when you were in the studio, was there a level of, I guess, excitement about the new technology? And did you have a sense of, oh, wow, we can do all this new stuff now or anything like that?
今だから言えることですけど、やっぱり当時は毎日とかもう毎月毎週のように新しいテクノロジーがこう発見されるというか導入されてた時代なので、会社が楽しすぎてみんな会社に普通に住んでましたね。
So he said at that time, literally there were so many new technologies that happened almost every month that everyone had so much fun working at the company that they pretty much just lived at the company.
お二方想像してみてください。例えばですよ、
はい、
もう今この世界がお家ではできなくて、この職場この会社でしかインターネットとかネットフリックスとか 大きい画面のテレビがありませんって言われたらどうします？
You want to hang out at work? Of course, sure.
So what he explained is that you imagine it like all the cool things that you love having, a big screen, Netflix, games and such, but you only have them at your work. What would you do? You'd enjoy working a lot more.
You'd make your wife really upset. That's what you do. The wives would not be thrilled with this situation. Was it stressful at all having to deal with such rapid technological advances?
一番僕らにとってこうストレスなのはいつまで経っても、いわゆる CPU メモリっていう処理ですね。そのゲームにかかる処理、これが余裕があったことがないんです。意味わかります？こんな絵を出してこういう風に動かしたいってやろうとすると足りないんです、性能が大体、いつも。
So you mean like if you really want to make something happen, something work, sometimes like whatever how much effort you put into it is not enough. You want to do it better, you want to do it more.
Yes, that's right.
So it's more of a, I think rather than there's a German word called Ehrgeiz, which is like a word like pride, but like in like also passion. It's like pride and passion together, and it sounds like that. It's like you don't just only want to make it good, you really want to make it good.
That's amazing.
So it doesn't feel like stress, I think.
Yeah. That is amazing.
So
And
you travel a lot overseas. We
Yes,
actually heard that you're traveling a lot. So can you tell us a little bit about your international work?
そうですね。大体僕はいわゆる出社日と言われる、日本でいうと営業日っていうんですけどね、出社しなきゃいけない日の半分ぐらいは海外でいろんな国に行ってるんですけど、大体は、ゲームのイベントで何かを発表するのと、現地のマーケティングスタッフと会議をするっていうのと、あとメディアのインタビューを受ける、だいたいこれがメインの仕事で海外に回ってますね。
So he said half of all of his working days that he actually has allocated are actually spent going abroad, and that is a lot. So a lot of those are either for presentations or for meetings with the marketing team, or just talking with the media.
I imagine when you go overseas, you meet a lot of people who are colleagues and so forth who you're working with, who are men around about the age of 40 now, and they meet you going, oh my god, 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 oh my god. Do people fanboy out when they meet you like we did at the start of this episode?
非常にありがたいですね。
It's very grateful.
40歳ぐらいの人がもう僕が10代の頃からファンですみたいな人がやっぱり多いので、長くファンでいてくれる人も多いですし、逆に世代が変わって自分の子供も息子もファンですっていう人も出てくるので、とてもやりがいがあります。
So he says it's a very rewarding thing because people who are in their 40s will say, I used to play this since I was 10, or they even bring their children and say, my children love playing this game. Like it connects now several generations. It's a very
ただ
rewarding job.
同時に自分の寿命も感じますよね。年を取ってるんだなってことを実感してしまうので。
And that's how unfortunately also realize that you're getting older. You feel the time is running.
Feel
Of
old.
course. Can you talk a bit about Tekken around the world? Do the different fan bases in different countries kind of respond differently to different aspects of the game, or do you find differences between the fan bases?
かなりこれは難しい問題で、やっぱり国によって全然要望の内容とか、例えば欲しいキャラクターとか変わってくるので、一言で言うとファンのリクエストっていう言葉になっちゃいますけど、でも僕らからすると A という国で言われてることと B という国で言われてることがコンフリクトするので、どっちを叶えていいのかわからないってことはよくあります。
So I think Maina went around the request that comes from fans, and what's very interesting is that depending on which country the requests are coming from, the request for characters and similar can be very different. So country A can say we want this, country B can say we want something completely else. So for him it's hard to find out which of the requests should I fulfill, what should I work at, because they will say very different
あ
things.
と一番大きく感じるのは国というよりかは最近非常に感じるのはいわゆる西側、アメリカを中心とした、いわゆるポリティカルコレクトネスって言葉があるんです。
Yes, there's plenty of that.
そこで語られている価値観っていうことと ちょっとアジアの価値観っていうのが意外とギャップがあるんですよ。これどっちが正しいってわけではないと思うんですけど、そこは結構僕ら悩んでますね。いろいろ。
Okay, so what he feels recently is towards America and centered around America is a lot of the political correctness that has their own opinions and also values. And then there's Asia who has its own Asian values and opinions as such, and they conflict when he's saying not necessarily that he says one is wrong or one is right, but it's hard for him to think through that, I guess.
文化の盗用って
Cultural appropriation.
でこの考え方って日本に例えば日本にはほとんどないんじゃないですか。
So the word cultural appropriation is not actually that much used in Japan as such.
でこれがアメリカに行くとこういろんなところでそれが語られたりするので、
But when they go to America, a lot of people mention that term, and it's very important to a lot of people.
僕らからするとアメリカの人が日本の着物を着て日本の文化に触れるのはいいと思ってるんですけど、そういう
So
こ
he
とを
personally thinks that Americans can wear Japanese kimono, they can enjoy Japanese culture.
でそうすると向こうではそれが文化の盗用だって大騒ぎになって有名人が叩かれたりするじゃないですか。
But in America, some people say that might be cultural appropriation. And therefore, people get bashed, and even celebrities get bashed for doing the thing that in Japan would not be a problem.
It was very interesting when they made the Ghost in the Shell movie with Scarlett Johansson. Everyone in America was very upset because they had an American girl playing a Japanese character. But everyone in Japan was very proud that a Hollywood actress was playing a Japanese character.
そうそれです。
So it's things like that, yeah.
So this is a big challenge for you because there's only one game.
No, I'm a bit confused though. Like, what is like the culture appropriation? It's a game made in Asia with a couple of Asian characters. So I'm wondering which character is the most conflicting character in Tekken then?
まあキャラクターというよりか、例えば僕らがそのフランス人のキャラクターとかドイツ人のまさにキャラクターとかを作ってある意味嫌な言い方するとお金儲けしてるわけじゃないですか。これは許されるのかどうかみたいな議論があるんですよ。
So there's like theories about, okay, they're in their game, they're incorporating characters from France, they're incorporating a character from Germany. And in the end, it's a game. So in the end, the goal is to also make money. Is that okay? Is that not okay? Those kind of conflicts can happen.
Oh, wow. Well, you have a complex job, sir. Well, you're doing a great job. The games are fantastic, so all is good. Game producer versus game director. Can you talk us through the difference between those two jobs a little bit?
プロデューサーは簡単に言うと人、物、金、この3つをなんとかする人です。
The producer focus on the people, the things needed, and the money. That's what the producer does.
マニーというか、まあ、バジェット
budget,
だったりとか、そうですね。だから要はこのタイトルやこのプロジェクトが、ちゃんとビジネスとしても成立してちゃんと作れるっていうことをこう保証しなきゃいけないのがプロデューサーです、ね。
So the producer has to focus on the business succeeding as such.
でゲームのディレクターっていうのはもうどっちかというと映画監督に近くて、
so a game director is like a movie director.
このゲームをどれだけパフォーマンスを引き出せるかってことに全集中する職業です。
So the director focuses more on giving the game the best performance it can get, like making it the best performing game as it can be.
ただ日本の場合は、意外とそのもともとゲームディレクターだった人間がプロデューサーになるケースが多いので、両方のことが分かってしまうので、両方口出す人は多いですね、僕みたいに。
So in Japan, it's a lot that a game director then becomes a producer and such, and so it means that actually they will talk about both, or will have their hands in both pies.
これチームの若い人からすると非常に厄介、困った、いわゆる日本語で言うと老害ですよね。老害プロデューサーですね。その権力もあって経験もあ ある一番困った人ですね、若い人から見ると。
So for the younger staff, it's really, really tough to have someone above you who doesn't only like have the skills but also the experience. They will always have something to say, even them being older, and constantly having an opinion.
日本ではその権力があって、経験があって加えて実績がある。権力、経験、実績、この3つが揃ってるのを老害って言うんですよ。
So it's knowledge, it's power, and also someone who's already has achievements.
Yes.
Those kind of people over you could actually be, they call them the annoying elders. Nogai are like the annoying elders who kind of have always something to say.
僕はそれです。
And he's like that. He admits to being like that.
So far, you've been a very pleasant elder on this podcast, which is wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, I want to know your skin routine because you're
You
shining.
look beautiful. Look at this man, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. So your sunglasses actually
Yes.
became kind of your personal brand or trademark, right?
です。トレードマークだね。Yes.
So whenever you're going to a game convention, may it be Tokyo Game Show or Gamescom in Cologne, we will be able to see you with your sunglasses.
Yes. もういつもやってるんで。
He always
If you
wears
take them
them.
off, no one knows who you are, right?
そう外すと誰かみんな気づかない。
So if he takes the sunglasses off, people actually don't notice it's him.
That is
This
fantastic.
is like Superman Clark Kent.
Yeah.
100%.
Well, there's loads more to talk about, and we're very excited. I'm still very sweaty-handed.
I was going to say, there's
Sweaty palms all over us. We're so
lot to
nervous to
go
be
through.
speaking with you, but there's more. We're allowed to have you on a second episode.
Okay.
So thank you so much. Is there any kind of social media or anything you would like to promote?
僕が個人的にツイッターやってますので、ぜひ皆さんフォローしてください。
Hey, he does Twitter. What's your Twitter?
ツイッター原田_鉄拳ですね。
Harada _ Tekken.
Yeah.
All right.
Right.
Cool. Get us out on the Twitter. Only Twitter, Instagram, none of that?
なんか YouTube とかでは原田のバー、ハラダーズバーっていう YouTube やってて、一応英語字幕もつけてます、ね。
Harada's Bar.
ハラダーズバー。
Harada's Bar on YouTube, and it actually has English subtitles.
Sounds like where you go when you finish work. That sounds fantastic. Right, fantastic. This has been wonderful. We'll be back with episode number 2 with Harada-san soon. Cathy Cat, where are you on the internet?
Well, you guys know it. It is Cathy Cat _TV on all social media, Twitter, Twitch, all the shenanigans, and Ladybeard with the group Babybeard.
At Ladybeard _ Japan and the group Babybeard at Babybeard _ Japan. We'll be back with another episode very soon with Harada-san. See you very soon on
Cat with
Beard.
Beard.